Sup YouTube, it's TeamLegendsTV here with a video on how to beat Monarchs. Monarchs is one of the newer decks. They came out about a week and a half ago in the structure decks, and they're a very powerful deck. They have a slight tendency to brick, a small percentage of the time. However, this is obviously for when they don't brick, for when they open up their optimal plays, or even just how the deck is supposed to run. So let's get into this. The most powerful cards you can side against Monarchs are Fog King and Mask of Restrict. Both of these cards have the effect that cards cannot be tributed, and they straight up lock out the deck entirely. Monarch players cannot actually play. This turns off their win condition. They need Twin Twister, Dark Hole, a way to immediately out these cards. Otherwise, they will almost certainly lose the duel. Zombie World has a similar effect. It prevents both players from tribute summoning non-zombie type monsters. However, Monarchs do run Erebus, and Erebus is a zombie type Monarch. So if they do happen to have that in their hand, or they are able to draw into it, you're sort of screwed. They are just going to tribute summon it and shuffle your Zombie World back. I would say that Mask of Restrict is arguably the better card to side over Zombie World. Fog King and Mask of Restrict are the two best cards against Monarchs. In the main deck, Effect Veiler and Ghost Ogre, and even Breakthrough Skill, they all have a similar sort of effect. Now, Veiler and Breakthrough Skill obviously are effect negation. If your opponent summons Edea to attempt to summon Ados from the deck for another tribute, you can Veiler the Edea. This essentially ends their turn. They used their normal summon on Edea, they didn't get the effect to tribute summon, so they cannot summon again for the rest of the turn. That puts them in a very awkward position, and they will be unable to make a good play most of the time. Ghost Ogre has the effect of destroying a card when its effect is activated while it is already face up out in the field. This is good against the Monarchs when they activate the effect, because even if they have Domain up, this will destroy the Monarch. This prevents them from locking you out of the extra deck, and overall is a very good card to play against Monarchs. Also, it can be used to destroy Domain if they use Domain's effect. However, it is possible for them to search another domain or even draw into it, while if you do destroy their Monarch, they will not always be able to put another Monarch on the board that turn. So I would definitely advise using it to destroy their Monarch over Domain. Break the Skull also has the added effect of being able to banish it during your turn to negate the effect of a monster during your own turn. So if they try to summon via Escalation or Ether even, you can negate that effect. Now, Solemn Strike and Solemn Warning are both very powerful cards against Monarch. Solemn Warning especially because this can be used on the normal summon of a monster, whereas Strike is only the special summon or effect. And Strike is really only good against the effects because Monarchs don't inherently special summon anything. Now, you can negate Edea, and that stops them just as much as Veiler, and you can negate the Monarch's effect. However, if they set up Return of the Monarchs, it'll be Monarch Chainlink 1, Return Chainlink 2. This allows a Monarch player to play around Solemn Strike, so be wary of that. If they think you have Strike, they're going to try and play around it anyway by summoning the Prime Monarch from the grave and tributing it with Domain. So just be wary of that. Warning, though, is always a good card, and this will stop them and hurt Monarchs a lot. For siding and getting over Domain, we have Sai Blocker and then Dark Hole and Raigeki. So Sai Blocker is powerful because you can turn off Domain, you can just call Domain, and then continue exceeding. Sai Blocker is even level 4 to help you out there. Dark Hole and Raigeki are very powerful, not only because they can allow you to summon from your extra deck, but they also clear all of the monsters on the opponent's board. This is important because a lot of the time, Monarch players will try and tribute summon during their opponent's turn using Aether or Escalation. This destroys all of their fodder, and unless they have Aether in hand or Escalation and Stormforth set with Prime and Grave, they will be unable to properly tribute summon a monster during their opponent's turn. In that sense, Dark Hole and Raigeki are also very powerful cards. Now, there are some more floodgates that do work against Monarchs. Anti-Spell, Imperial Iron Wall, Mistake, even Shadow and Light Imprisoning Mirror. Both of these cards are decent. All of these cards are decent. However, they don't really stop the deck that much. Anti-Spell is probably the best because Monarchs do play a lot of spell cards. However, they can still normal summon Edea, summon Aos from the deck, hard tribute for Erebus, spin it, and then make all of their plays. It just hinders the deck a little bit. It's a slight annoyance. It's not nearly as good as Mask of Restrict, which completely shuts out their plays. Treacherous Trapple, I have this here because you can send it with Rafflesia. This and Bottomless allow you to... Well, Bottomless allows you to banish the Monarchs they summon, the best of which to banish would be Erebus, because that prevents them from adding back Monarchs from the grave. However, Treacherous Trapple can be used to pop Edea and Eidos, hopefully destroying their tribute fodder and preventing them from making another play during the turn. Chain Disappearance is a very powerful card because you can banish Edea and Eidos from their hand, field, deck, etc. This is very good because you can hit their hand advantage if they happen to draw extra copies. However, it's not so good in the sense that the summon chain still resolves completely. There's no effect negation in this card. If you summon Edea and they chain Disappearance, that you're still going to get Eidos on the field. Eidos will still activate the effect to give them an additional normal summon, and they will be able to summon a Monarch that turn. It is very good in a grind game if the game is expected to take a long time, but if you needed to be able to stop them for that turn, to prevent them from summoning a Monarch, which is actually their win condition, not the tribute fodder, they do have more than one way to put a Monarch on board other than relying on Edea and Eidos, then you're not going to be in the greatest position, and you'll have to pair it with cards like Solemn Notice or Veiler to actually prevent their Monarch's effect. Now, Deck Dev and Crush Card. Actually, Deck Dev is not very good. I don't know why that I have that in here, but Crush Card can be good. Crush Card has you can Crush Card your opponent, and if they have a hand full of Monarchs, say they have 3 Monarchs in hand, you've hit at least half of their hand. That's very good for hitting hand advantage. They're not going to have a Monarch in their hand. They are able to send Erebus from the deck to the grave, however, which is very crucial. You have to be very wary of that, which is also why you should never blind Crush Card. If they open a hand of all spells, a complete brick, and you blind Crush Card, they're going to send Erebus to the grave, and their hand will be 100% live. They will be able to add it back to their hand and make all of their plays. So you have to be very careful with Crush Card. I would say its best utility is mid-game when you've already seen some of the cards in their hand, either through adding them off return or revealing them with Tenacity, and at that point you have a general idea of what their hand looks like. Mystical Refpanel is here. This card is... It's good against Pantheism, but that's all it does. They activate Pantheism, you draw 2 cards instead of them. It's good, obviously. If you open this, that's going to hurt them a bit. However, it's not guaranteed that they're going to open Pantheism. And if you don't open this, it's going to be a horrible top deck mid to late game, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend siding this. This is just an option. Invader of Darkness and Chaos Hunter. So these are both more for Infernoid sides. Invader of Darkness prevents your opponent from activating cards like Stormforth and Twin Twister. So if you're going to activate Mistake or some sort of Floodgate and then summon this in Infernoids or any other deck, that prevents your opponent's means of getting over it for the most part. It is very powerful in that sense. Monarchs do have additional ways to tribute summon, but it does lock off Stormforth. Chaos Hunter prevents them from banishing. It's about the same thing as Iron Wall. You're going to have a hard time special summoning it as well. Lastly, we have Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell. This card is really good against Monarchs. If you are able to play this, or just definitely play this in the mirror match, for sure, you can negate their Stormforth, and they can't activate another copy for the rest of the duel. That is so crucial in the mirror match. And if you're able to get one on Stormforth and one on Pantheism, you've essentially won the duel. This card will steal the match away from your opponent. Honorable mentions, not honorable, Naturia Beast. This card's very good in the Monarch matchup. They need to have either Breakthrough Skill if we're siding, or they have to have drawn Edea or Eidos to put those on board. Otherwise, they just simply cannot get over it. You will negate all of their spells. It's very harsh. Also, there is Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is not very good going blind. However, it stops their ability to regain advantage once their grave is already set up. Well, that's it. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe for more awesome content.